Hello, welcome back to our next grooming session. If you've been following along with me, as promised, I am doing a Monday night after work session. And this is no doubt going to be a part one of two, because as you might have noticed, Denali here on the stand is quite the mess. So unless for some reason I can actually manage to get this side taken care of in under about 40 minutes, which I don't think is going to happen. We're probably going to be making this a two-parter where I do one side for this video and one side for the next video. So hey, if you're new here, I'm Pam. This is Racing for Home Farm, where the animals rule the schedule, and I clearly do not keep up. None of the content on this channel is scripted or planned. Sometimes it's scheduled, i.e. the grooming videos, but it's not scripted. We chat about what's happening on the farm as it's happening. I try and find interesting content or educational content, and I kind of do the best I can. Sometimes we just talk about nonsense. These grooming videos are going on their second season now. So technically season 1, 2025's grooming sessions. We did a Meet the Goats grooming where for the first groom of the season, which is always the longest one, that's this one. I talked through who the goats are, where they came from, if they were born here, who they're related to, why they're important to my breeding program, and all that other fun stuff. I'll never remember to link it in the description box below, but if you hang out till the end of the video, or if you skip forward to the end of the video, which is the cheat way to do it, the playlist Meet the Goats will pop up, and you'll be able to click on that, and you can go to that playlist and really learn about Denali. Denali has a really cool story to her. She was born and bred with, well, she was bred by a different breeder, a breeder who is phenomenal and whose animals I covet. And in a twist of fate that involved a whole lot of stories and people involved, Denali ended up here on this farm. We showed her for a couple of years, and it wasn't even a couple of years. I think it was 18 months we showed her. So like maybe 3 shows, spring, fall, and spring again. Or maybe it was fall, spring, and fall again. Who knows? And she earned her Master Champion right off, her Master Champion title. And so she's been retired from the show ring. That would be Tonka the farm dog being Tonka the farm dog. He may have to get banished if he continues. Tonka, knock it off. If he gets banished, well, we'll just pause the video while I banish him. We'll see if he can control himself. Right now, he's just, he's still a puppy, and he's still learning the rules. He understands that the goats belong in the pasture, and they're clearly not in the pasture. So that's driving him a little nuts. And as a healer, sit. Sit. Okay, that was down, close enough. Ah! Stay. As a healer, he wants to nip at their ankles and get them back where they belong. Of course, she's locked into the stand, so that's not going to happen. Good boy. He's learning. If you were with me last year, getting him to even do that much of a down stay was darn near an exercise in futility. He's been pretty good about controlling his impulses lately. It's still taking some time for him to really understand the dynamics and to not do things that annoy the goats. He's not hurting her in any way, shape, or form. She's just, she's in a vulnerable position, to be fair, right? She's locked into a grooming stand. She doesn't have any place to go. She can't escape him. She can't turn around and headbutt him. So I don't blame her for kind of being ornery about it. Anyway, back to the story. So if you want to see Denali's story how she joined the farm, definitely check out her Meet the Goats episode. It's a really good story. Meanwhile, Tonka, please. I know, but we're on video. Hey, 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 hey. Go run. Go run. I know. So anyway, cool story to check out if you want to check it out. As for these grooming sessions, these are the only sessions or the only videos that I take in advance and stack up. And it's just been sort of a habit that accidentally formed. I typically do grooming on the weekends, and I typically will groom 2 goats a weekend. And I do them back to back. So you don't want to see that content back to back. And so, from the original start, we'll post one every Saturday morning, and it can be your Saturday morning coffee chat, relaxation video, right? Or whenever you want to watch it. It can be your Saturday night, put you to sleep video. All of that's fine. But if I'm grooming 2 goats a weekend and only putting up 1 grooming video a week, you can see how they get a little stacked up. Now that helps me in the long run because of course there are weekends where we don't do grooming. For example, and this is going to happen before you even see this video, but we have an upcoming goat show and I will be away for the weekend, so I won't be grooming goats at all. So that would be, no grooming videos if I didn't have any stacked up. And it breaks the routine, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's nice to have that content sort of pre-made. Everything else, all the other videos you see on this channel are not pre-made. They're made a day, maybe 2 days in advance of when I get them up on the web, because it does take a few minutes of me sitting down at a computer, and Lord knows I don't always have that time. So sometimes the videos are, I take them on a Saturday and they don't go up until a Monday, right? But we're talking about close to real time. It's rare that I would have them stacked longer than that. So at any rate, like I was telling you, Denali is a master champion. She's retired from the show ring. She's currently what I would call morbidly obese. We'll see what the vet calls it when she comes out for her annual visit in a few weeks. And I'm not sure if you'll see this video. Yeah, I think you'll see this video before that. But you're also going to notice that I'm going to use tools on Denali that I haven't used on any of the other goats. I'm going to use scissors and cut off some of these bigger clumps and tangles. And that's because she's a master champion, so she's not going in the show ring. And it's also because she has so much hair. And all the time that I was talking, which I don't know, was that maybe 5-10 minutes now? I've only worked over one section of her shoulder blade. And if she were to be show quality, or going into the show ring, she is show quality, she's master champion. If she were to be going into the ring and need to be in show shape, I would have to spend that much time in each and every little section of her hair in order to make sure that we don't lose a strand that isn't necessary to lose. But since she's a master champion, and give me 1 second to step away from the camera and just make sure, okay, Tonka's currently running around the pond. I just need to keep an eye on him and make sure he doesn't take off on me. He's actually pretty good about it. Yeah. He's harassing the birds from the outside. He can't get to the birds. They're fenced in. You've seen my channel. He's just running around the pond, wearing himself out, which actually is a good thing. But when he goes quiet, I have to check and make sure. It's like a toddler, if they go quiet, trouble is happening. So had to check. You may also see Bailey running around down below. Bailey is our honorary farm dog. Tonka is the real farm dog. Bailey is a Shih Tzu that I inherited from my elderly aunt. And he went from pampered diva couch dog that really only saw, outside the back door for a few minutes if the weather were nice. Otherwise, he was, pee pad trained and all that fun stuff. He went from that lifestyle, and at 6 years old, he joined the farm. And it took him about 3 weeks to adjust to the fact that he was no longer going to be a couch/lap dog, right? We have things to do. But he also figured out the farm is fun. And he has become an honorary farm dog. Doesn't matter what the weather is. It doesn't matter what we're doing. He wants to be out with us. He wants to be in the middle of it. He wants to be dirty. So he's been nicknamed Pigpen. My groomer, bless her heart, is always entertained by the amount of sticks and leaves and vegetation she finds in his coat. Wow, Denali, your coat's a disaster too. Speaking of sticks and leaves and stuff, you want to talk about things I'm finding in her coat. And just to be clear, like this is just vegetation. And it pulled right out. It didn't pull any hair. It clearly didn't hurt her in any way, shape, or form, right? But that's the stuff that's creating these clumps. And so what I had started saying before getting completely distracted and sidetracked is you're going to see me use scissors and mat breakers more than I ever do on my show string goats, the goats that are still going into the ring. Because she doesn't need to retain all this coat. She doesn't need to be tortured by me trying to tease out every bit of vegetation that's trapped in her coat. It isn't necessary for her. There's just no point in putting her through that. I'm using an undercoat rake here for the moment because she's got cashmere that's ready to come out, but it's tighter to the skin than I can get to it with the slicker brush. And I'd really like it to come out if I can get it out, because if I can get it out, then it's one less thing that can create a tangle. And so all I'm doing is, it's loose cashmere, right? So here we go. It's not pulling on her. It's not pulling at her knots. It's not hurting her in any way, shape, or form. It's just getting the stuff that's shedding out naturally, and it's sort of helping it along. So it's already loose from the skin. It's not tied into the follicles or anything else. It just happens to still be up toward the top and hasn't migrated down. You'll see me do this a lot on her other side too. Because if I can migrate it down for her, then this is the last time that grooming will be so arduous with her. Right? It'll all come out much easier. Everything will be smooth. There'll be no cashmere for it to hang on to. And she'll actually feel better without all that stuff still trying to shed out. So I'm literally just sort of using the rake to grab it from the top where it's already, again, loose, just closer to her skin. And I've already brushed out the bottom of her hair. So it makes it a little bit easier. But you are going to see me use scissors on her, and I don't typically use scissors on the goats. The reason I'm going to use scissors on her is because she's got some pretty heavy clumps here. They're not just clumps of cashmere, although that's probably what started it. They're now, kind of wrapped around vegetation. And she has so much hair that it's, she's not going in the show ring. She's already done. She's gorgeous. She has a ton of hair. Nobody's going to miss some strands that are underneath. And why should I put her through the paces of detangling all of this, making her stay on the stand for hours on end? This is already going to take hours. So it just adds to the amount of time when I can take a scissor and just cut the stuff out that is being difficult, being ornery like her. So I'm just shifting between my two tools. and deciding at what point the shift between the two tools is no longer going to solve the problem, and I'm going to switch to a scissor. Now, in this case, solve the problem, right? Now, you can't see it, of course, on this side. You will when I do the other side. So stay tuned for part 2 when I do the other side, because, yeah, this is not going to be a one-parter. But when I do the other side, you'll see that I can also, as I'm parting the hair and working sections, I can see her skin. And I can see if it's getting red, if it's getting irritated. I can also, of course, tell by her attitude if she's getting annoyed. She's annoyed already just by being on the stand. She's annoyed by having Tonka around, who is utterly silent, which means I'm going to have to go check on him again shortly. I don't worry about Bailey. Bailey has bonded himself to me, and he won't go far from where I am. He is out rolling in poop or doing something that farm dogs do. But he's not often adventuring in the woods by himself, which is something Tonka would do. He's close by. He's probably standing at the back of the barn, again, eating goat poop or smelling goat poop or rolling in goat poop or whatever it is he can do to be as official a farm dog as possible. So I'm shifting spots a little bit just to give her a break. There's Bailey now. See, he comes to check in with me, and he's filthy, so he found something to roll in. He's got a stick hanging from his rear end, and he's got dirt all over his back. So yeah, he found something fun to roll in. So I'm shifting locations on her just for a few minutes. I'm not done on this side by any means, but I've been working her shoulder and her front end for a long time now, relatively speaking. The back end is where you're going to see a lot of scissor work, because it's just, again, it's clumped with pee and urine. She's not going in a show ring. It is not worth worrying about this hair on her body or putting her through the process of trying to pull each and every clump out. I'm not worried about the staining as I am about the clumps that are causing tangles and mats. This is by her genitals, her udder, all the sensitive parts. So again, it's not torture to have your hair brushed. If you've had your hair brushed and you've had a knot in it, you know what it feels like. It's not the most fun thing in the world to have a knot brushed out, but it's not going to kill you, and it's certainly not painful in the sense that you need anesthesia and pain medication and all that. But at the same time, again, she has so much hair, and the back end gets so messy between peeing and pooping. Got a baby hollering out there for some reason. Look at that. That already looks better. I'll show you guys what I cut off in a second. And then you'll see videos of her out in the field, and you'll be like, I can't even tell that I cut her hair. That's how much hair she has. So what I did, and I'm not done by any means, but what I did is I effectively cut the tail ends off of the back of her hair. It's yellow because it's pee stained, and it's just big clumps and mats because it's pee stained and sticky from pee. And again, she doesn't need it. She can have a bit of a bad haircut. It actually will help her stay cleaner in the long run. It's more of a sanitary type of groom. And I'm not cutting close to the skin. In fact, I'm leaving quite a bit of length on here, and we'll work through some of these littler clumps and littler sticky spots and get them out. And I'm doing that because, I like to leave the integrity of the coat. The coat is one of the features of this breed. And a lot of breeders do shave them down after they achieve their master champion, right? If they're not going in the show ring. Thank you, Tonka. That's enough. They shave them down. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. They shave them down because they have larger herds. They don't have time to do what I'm doing. And they don't really have the inclination to do it. Tonka. Go. Go. Oh, you are covered in whatever Bailey found, you found it too. Which means you need a bath. You're not going in the house without getting hosed down. That's why he was quiet. He's got a giant streak of what I can only assume is some sort of mud/poop that he has found. Probably deer, could be fox, who knows. Now he's going to pull hair out of the muck bucket and chew on it. That's fantastic. But it's all right. It'll keep him busy and he's not biting at the goat, so life is good. So anyway, so a lot of breeders and owners, if they're not putting their goats in the show ring, do shave them down, right? It's just not, they don't want to be bothered with coat maintenance. And that is absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. There are tons of goats in this world that have naturally short hair. And they do fine in the weather. They do fine, protecting against bugs and all the other things that a coat helps protect with. So you can shave them down. In fact, you guys, if you haven't been around long enough to see Thorn, Thorn is one of my bucks that I brought in late last year. And he was not shaved fully, but he was trimmed down heavily by his breeder. And again, it makes it easier maintenance. It makes it a better for them, right? Because if you're not going to do this kind of maintenance on your animals, you don't want them to have coats like this where they're going to get tangled and matted and, be painful. She's not painful, by the way. If she were, this would be a different process. She's just in a spring shed. I'm a few weeks overdue. It happens every year because it happens during kidding season and I get overwhelmed and fall behind. So she's not painful, okay? She's just got a lot of tangles and cashmere falling out of her through the normal natural shedding process. But as it migrates down those shafts of hair, it's picking up vegetation, especially with her hair that's so long. It's got such a long trip to migrate and shed out that it does tend to get stuck somewhere along the line. See, it is coming out very quite easily when it's not wrapped around vegetation. Now she's got one, what I'll call relatively healthy clump here. And my guess would be this is the side she's been laying on because it's got a lot of bedding stuck in it. If I were one of those breeders that didn't want to maintain the integrity of the look of the goat, Tonka, don't. This would be something I would cut off instantaneously, right? It's just not worth working through. But what I'm finding, since I'm taking the time to do a little bit of work on it, is I'm actually able to work through it fairly quickly. She's got the same lumps and clumps on this side, just not quite as bad. So this is the side she lays on or leans on when she lays down, which means that it's the cashmere, her hair has picked up some bedding to tangle around. But it's actually coming out pretty darn easily. And considering how large that clump felt when I grabbed it with my hands, using just the slicker brush as a tool, I'm not even using scissors or a rake right now, it is working its way out with relative ease. And other than Tonka being a Dorkosaurus, well, and making her ornery, She's not bothered by it at all. I guess the nice thing about having Tonka here is he's a bit of a distraction for her. So while I'm working on something like this where, you know, again, if you've had kids or you've had your own hair that's had a tangle in it, you know it's not the most fun thing in the world to have to detangle. But you also know you don't want it cut if you don't have to. So I balance the use of scissors, of mat breakers, which is essentially just a razor that instead of cutting hair off, it sort of splits the mat so that you can get through it. Now he's back to barking at birds. Okay. He sounded a little further away, and I wanted to make sure he wasn't back at the house or there wasn't a delivery driver here that he was harassing. Most of the delivery drivers know him at this point, but I also don't expect a delivery driver to put up with my Australian cattle dog. I almost called him an Australian shepherd. So we had before him. I still miss her. She was a good dog. She was a little neurotic, but they all are. And she got old, and we thought we'd have her for a few more years when we brought him in. And unfortunately, she passed away almost as soon as he joined the family. And she was 15, right? Like she was 15. She was arthritic. She was part deaf. You know, she was old. She still had, up until the end, she had quality of life, but she, you know, just unfortunately passed not too long after we got him as a puppy. So he didn't have a whole lot of mentorship from an older dog, which means that all he's got is us, and the humans aren't as smart as we should be sometimes. So at any rate, the good news is I'm not exactly sure how long this video has been yet, but considering that I expected the process with Denali here to take about 2 hours in full, and I'm guessing, without looking at my watch or the video, that I'm probably about 30 to 40 minutes in at this point. That's about spot on. I still have to work her shoulder a little bit more. And then I have to do her other side. So that'll be the part 2, is we'll do her other side and have another chat. But I think we will probably cut it here, and I will finish up her shoulder without you, because it's just more of the same, and you can't see what I'm doing on this side anyway. That'll give me a chance. Oh, you have to pee? Awesome. Good news is I finished back there, on that side at least. That's quite the pee. This stall, for those of you that, again, are new here, this stall is drained. It could be a full-size stall, but we have when we put the barn in, and we built this barn as, oh, now you're pooping too. Fantastic. Thank you. Are you done for the moment? You want to let a fart go for the camera? That's always going to be fun. So when we put this barn in, I knew that I would be grooming goats, and we purposely did not make this an actual stall. It has a stall door, so it can be modified. All you have to do is put a half wall up here and become a stall. But the floor is drained. There's a drain in the floor that's tied into our drainage system around the barn. That way, when I'm washing goats, I'm not standing in ankle-deep water. It also makes it nice because when we want to power wash the cement, we have a drain in the barn. I have electricity, so I can do this at night. Thankfully, the days are long enough that it's not night yet, but yeah. So again, like I said, this is just more of the same, more of me brushing out her shoulder here. I'm probably going to do some light scissor work because she's got some nice clumps up toward her neck that I don't want to pull on her skin, and they're up that tight. So I will use the mat breaker and some scissors to break some of that up before I start trying to work the tangles out. But overall, not too bad. Her front's done, her back's done. I only had to do light scissor work on her back. Her sides are beautiful. Didn't have to touch them at all with the scissor. And so I just need to work on that front end, and we'll show you the front end on the next video. Sound like a plan? Hope so, because you don't have much say in it. As these videos progress, if you've hung out this long, listen, hit the subscribe button. Please hang out with us some more. Also, let me know in the comments what you want to chat about when we're doing this, right? I don't chat about current events because, like I said, these are scheduled out a few weeks. So the events would no longer be current. So let me know what you want to chat about. Last year we did some chats about what you're reading, what are you watching, you know, all the fun things. And with that, I'm going to keep working, and you are going to have the rest of your day, night, evening to yourself. Have a fantastic day. Bye, guys.